I never hit record. So what we can do is we haven't voted on anything, so that's fine. So we'll officially call to order now, Denise. And we'll just kind of skip the introductions and recognitions, and I'll write them as who's present here. And then we'll just go, we'll approve the minutes again. we'll just kind of do all those official things again.
Okay, no problem. So we officially call the meeting to order, 5:48. Moving on, I actually realized I forgot before. Were there any public comments?
No.
Okay, no public comments. Does anyone feel that they're going to vote or cannot vote to approve the minutes? Great, so the minutes are approved unanimously.
Okay.
And now we're moving on to the School Readiness Council items, the fiscal year 23 School Readiness Grant overview. Back to you, Sarah.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. Okay, so let me see here. I need to move this little bar. And oh, where am I going here? There we go. And here we go. Okay. Now, can you guys all see that? Okay, perfect. So yeah, so it just kind of goes through, and I just wrote that these comments were copied from the reviewer's score sheets and are meant to provide an overview of each RFP and a chance for Mansfield Advocates for Children, our School Readiness Council, to be aware of this input. So Child Labs, they got a score of 125 out of 125. Their recent inspection was great. There was limited issues. They were all remediated. Their designated QSMs meet the 2029 requirements, which again, a very kind of elite group in Connecticut, I feel. And to say that we had multiple centers that meet that requirement is pretty awesome. They had a plan with specific goals to target families at or below 75% SMI. The second comment kind of adds to that they had a good plan to reach those populations. The third comment as well kind of says that they brought up specific outreach that's made to certain specific areas to target those families who might be at or below the 75% SMI. Two of their preschool teachers and the director are certified in early childhood special education, which is really awesome in regards to their plan for children with special and diverse needs. There was multiple collaborations noted with a variety of supports. Their class size does not exceed 18 children. And actually, if you count their student interns, they're very, very way under ratio. Let's see, curriculum assessments done frequently and they align with the ELDs, the ongoing assessment with ELDs and the DOTS in collaboration with families. Their plan for student evaluation is extensive and thoroughly applies to the instruction plans and developmental assessment of each child. Schedule is consistent and predictable, but flexible. And there's an excellent variety of programming. Their RFP was well organized, very good narrative descriptions. And the family handbook is very lengthy, but I also, you know, when we have these discussions, I always add it is UConn. So I feel like it has to be for many, many reasons. And it has a very high reading level. So the program may wish to consider this when they revise it in the future. But all around, I mean, a perfect score, you don't really see that. But awesome job, Anne. And I can't tell you how much you will be missed, but I am, as everybody else, very excited for you. And CCC, a score of 120. They're our second center where their DQSMs meet the 2029 requirements. And this is something that the OEC has changed very frequently in the last few years, and they keep upping what these requirements are, and they actually are pretty tough. You know, you used to be able to have an associate's degree in early childhood education, and now they want you to have a very specialized bachelor's degree or higher in it, and you have to do a certain amount of hours of training every year. So really kudos to these centers for allowing their staff to have that, to maintain staff of that high level to meet all of those qualifications. The plan to recruit families at or below the 75% SMI includes steps to reach children and families who are in contact with the center, but does not clearly articulate how to outreach will reach new families, so outside of the center. Variety of robust and meaningful collaborations. The next one says the same thing about collaborations. The center's membership is the Natural Start Alliance, and a certification as an eco-healthy childcare center is pretty awesome. Let's see, multiple points of collaboration and accommodations made for children with special needs. There was a really nice narrative addressing how those multiple diverse needs are supported in the program. A great use of your resource dollars to improve pandemic mitigation strategies, including a thoughtful and intentional use of additional outdoor time and space, smaller than recommended class sizes, emergent and responsive curriculum that's aligned with the ELDs. Yeah, the daily schedule provides child-driven opportunities, and a well-written, the written plan includes group and story times multiple times. This was our lovely friend. This was another one of a school readiness liaison. So I love her comments because she gets really down to the nitty gritty on them, but it's just because she's done this for, I think, 25 years. And during the pandemic, they pivoted their programming to include more time outdoor spaces. This effort included the update of a shed on the property, which is used to store additional materials and supplies for outdoor play. So again, overall amazing. And we can't say enough good things. Mansfield Discovery Depot, 103 out of 125. There were a lot of issues on the physical plant section of the licensing report. One of the corrections was to just prohibit children running in the backyard. And this reviewer just thought that was counterproductive. Deb, I don't know if you want to add why there were so many violations on that specific day. I don't know where you are, but I can. So the very next morning after this inspection, and a lot of those violations were for the temperatures being off in the building. So like one half of the building was really cold and the other half of the building was really hot. The very next morning, their boiler blew up, and they actually needed to have the entire system repaired and a whole new one put in. So I think that explained a lot of these. So in her remediation strategy, she just said the whole system was replaced. And so that was really where a lot of these physical plant violations had come in, but they were fixed when the new boiler system was put in. So they currently meet the DQSM. They could elaborate more on how they identify families at or below the 75% SMI, multiple and various collaborations. They had collaborations with the public schools in birth to 3 for children with diverse needs. Let's see. A really awesome plan about a possible summer camp expansion. And Deb, we're rooting for you because that would be awesome. One reviewer said it would just be helpful to know the number or percentage of parents that are using the new engagement app. Their class ratios are where they need to be. Their curriculum aligns with the ELDs and the DOTS assessments. There was a variety of activities for learning modalities identified in the schedule. They offer a lot of additional programming, including the nutrition assistance and like a food program for their kids. And they were local leaders with the effort for the Day Without Childcare advocacy, which was pretty awesome. So again, kudos to MDD and to Deb, and for being such an awesome quality center to send our kids to in this town. And then Mount Hope. So Mount Hope was 95 out of 125. And the biggest reasons for this is just because she hasn't obtained that accreditation yet. So you automatically lose a good amount of points at the beginning of the RFP because you're not NAEYC accredited. So there were a large list of violations on the inspection report. They were remediated, but one of the scores just say we should monitor that closely. The plan for the NAEYC accreditation is outlined thoroughly. Erin is where she needs to be. She has been meeting with EastCon. She's exactly at what step she needs to be at, which is great. When I go in and monitor the visits, I double check a lot of that just to make sure that she's where she needs to be on course for that. So let's see. The registry and staff assignments are up to date. The DQSM requirements are met. They have a multi-point advertisement for school readiness participants and income eligibility. They have a resource fair that's used to target and recruit families at or below the 75% SMI. They had many multiple and various meaningful collaborations identified. They had a good plan for inclusion of children with special needs. They already offer a summer camp program. So they are a school year facility that offers a like fun in the sun summer program, which is super convenient for children and families that attend there. And the Montessori curriculum and approach with ELDS, knowledge and application. All right, so that's kind of all of that. And those were all of the comments that were left on the RFPs. So like I said, I just typed them up, put them on here. And then if any of you individual centers kind of want to see those scores, I can send these score sheets to you. They're also available on the website under the agenda center. So we'll just kind of show you how you scored. And again, they're all right here, but I don't think we need to go through each one of them because I just told you what the scores were. And if anybody wants to know, they can go look. You got to hold on, bud. Yeah. Cam's going to go eat his dinner in case anyone wanted to know. And then this is also just that copy of the revised proposed charge that was sent to the Committee on Committees. And I just wanted to show you guys how I had changed that sentence that we had wanted. So I had changed it to, our goal is to assure that Mansfield children ages birth through 8 years old are healthy, successful learners, and that they and their families are connected to the community. So I made sure to add that part about the families. So are there any questions on all of the lengthy, crazy talking that I just did? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. It is a lot of work to score those RFPs. So thank you to Katie and to Denise and to Angela from Wyndham, Chelsea, and who was my 5th reviewer? I had 5. Why can't I think of who it was? Maybe I only had 4. But yes, thank you to our reviewers.
I did have a question. So I hear why people scored the way they scored, so that it's not coming from that, but I'm just curious, if a center needed support of some kind, how do we address that support?
Yep. So that's actually a great question. And yep, we do go through this. And like I said, I help other towns, and how we do that process with them is that if there are supports that are needed, we outline those very specifically, kind of how I just did in a document. And then it goes in front of the council saying that in order for us to consider them for funding, they would have to meet requirements X, Y, and Z by a certain date. There has been instances in other towns where they just, I'm trying to think of how it happened. I think what they did, another town was on the verge of losing accreditation. So what they had done as a school readiness council was they actually, I think, took a vote to recommend that the directors of that center actually step down, and then they brought new directors in who then reapplied for the 3-year window of accreditation so that they could keep their school readiness spaces and keep helping families. And this was in a priority district, so it was like very important that they helped these hundreds of families. So in any case like that, it really goes back to the council and what the council would recommend. And if there was enough violations, or if the council felt that the center itself couldn't live up to the expectations to support the children and give them a quality center, the council could then vote not to fund them. Again, in Mansfield, we're rather lucky in the sense that we don't have a large amount of spaces. So if that ever were to happen, or if a center were to no longer be part of school readiness, which did happen a few years ago, we're able to absorb those spaces elsewhere. In this case, at this other town, I think it was 98 spaces. So it would have been really hard. Yeah, it would have been really hard to move those So that's kind of how they thought of that plan B, which I mean, I thought was very smart, because then those children were able to remain in place, and then they were able to recruit higher level people to run that program. And now that program is actually very successful. So it really comes back on the council, and that is why we're here, and that's why we share that information. And again, I feel very fortunate and lucky that we have the centers that we do in Mansfield, because that stuff just, it doesn't come up. And, you know, even with Mount Hope not having accreditation, their answers were very thorough, and we know that they're an amazing center who's providing a really awesome education to kids. So I'm just happy we don't run into that.
So Sarah, for this vote, is this something where we'll need to roll the call and have each person give an affirmative?
So yes, probably, because the centers themselves cannot vote for their own funding. And us as staff cannot vote. So it would be important to have it so that I can go back and watch it and know who voted for what. And yes. And then in regards to the make a motion, so I could just kind of read what the motion would need to say, and then I'll quote that, and then someone can just say that they make that motion.
Great.
Okay. So for the first one, I need someone to make a motion for Community Children's Center to receive school readiness funding for this fiscal year of 2023.
Looks like Kathleen makes that motion.
Okay.
Do we need a second?
Yep.
Will anyone second? Judy seconds the motion. Thank you.
Okay. And then now you can go through that, and then I'm just gonna let you guys vote, and I will go back and look at. Yes.
Great. I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier and just go through my screen and call names. So I vote yes. Anne, Katie cannot vote. Is that correct? Okay. Anne? Yes. Great. Deb? Yes. Tracy? Yes. Judy? Yes. Lisa?
Can't,
Oh,
because that's for
Lisa
center.
can't
Yep,
vote?
no,
I
that's
can't
okay.
Kathleen?
Yeah, I made the motion. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Pat cannot vote. Miguel? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Yes. Kimberly?
Yes.
Excellent. The motion is approved.
Okay, so our next one would be to make a motion for MDD to receive school readiness funding for fiscal year 2023.
Tracy
So
makes the
moved.
motion. Oh, sorry, we have multiple things. I'm going to go with Tracy. Will somebody second the motion? Great. Thank you, Lisa. I vote in the affirmative. Anne? Yes, great. Deb? Deb cannot, I'm sorry. So sorry. Deb cannot. Tracy made the motion. Judy? Yes. Lisa? Yes. Kathleen? Yes. Miguel? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Perfect. At 6:07 p.m. Okay, our next motion is for Yukon Child Labs to receive school readiness funding for fiscal year 2023.
Thank you. Judy makes the motion. Will someone second the
Second.
motion? Great.
I'll second
Kathleen Excellent. Thank you. Kathleen seconds. I vote in the affirmative. Anne cannot vote. Deb? Yes. Tracy? Yes. Judy? Oh, made the motion. Lisa? Yes. Kathleen seconded. Miguel? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Okay, and last is to make a motion for Mount Hope to receive school readiness funding for fiscal year 2023.
Thank you. Lisa makes the motion. May I have a second? Thank you. Miguel makes the seconds the motion. I vote in the affirmative. Anne? Thank you. Yes. Deb? Yes. Tracy? Yes. Judy? Yes. Lisa? Yes. Kathleen?
I have to recuse. I'm on the board of the directors for Mount Hope.
Okay, thank you. Miguel? Yes. Aaron? Aaron cannot vote this one. Kimberly?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is approved.
Yay! Yay, school readiness. And I just want to add, and I know that I always fight for you guys to get additional spaces. That is like literally one of my favorite things to do. When they say that my grant is approved, I literally respond with, okay, that's great, but how many more spaces are you going to give me? So it actually looks like we have a really good shot of getting more, especially with the way the budget just passed today. So a lot of money was given to the OEC specifically to increase spots. So hopefully we will be able to do that. And like I said, I'm pretty persistent about it. And I usually can get more. So keep your fingers crossed for that one. All right. So that's done voting. So now with the QE funding, I know I had sent the centers out just a quick thing like, hey, if you guys want to apply for QE funding or if you want to keep it the same. The consensus was keep it the same, which is fine by me because that makes this next part of this easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I know that I had it, and of course I think I lost it. Hold on one second. Let me just look.
In the chat.
You put the QE thing in the chat? Katie's the best. Best boss around. All right. I'm going to share my screen again and just kind of go over this. This will take 2 seconds, 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, because literally we do this every year. It has been the same now. I think we're going on year, I want to say 5 maybe of it being like this. So QE money is quality enhancement money for any of you that don't know. It's just a little pool of money that the OEC sets aside that can be given really to anybody who applies for it. But the rules behind it is it has to benefit a program, and it has to benefit 3 and 4-year-olds specifically, that preschool age who school readiness serves. And we have definitely certainly got creative over the years of how we use it. Usually we like to fund a program at the library that was specifically for kids, usually the magician show. We have also in the last few years used a big chunk of the change to refund these centers for their costs for the NEEYC accreditation fees, which is expensive and a lot of work. You guys are always working on that. It's not like you just submit and wait 3 years. It's a constant thing. So we like to yearly be able to thank you guys for that. And then the last kind of areas we can give money back for any trainings and also any like supplies. And with supplies, it can literally be anything. It could be, I really wanted to order new books for my classroom. I wanted some sand outside for our sandbox. Again, any way that we can make that argument that it benefits a 3 or 4-year-old, it can qualify for QE funding. So when I send this in, I just kind of do a blanket. This is exactly how I send in the budget. So I put our $3,881 that we get every year. It's the same amount and it will probably never increase, which is fine. We put 1,000 of that into an in-service line item, and that's for the first aid CPR certification for staff. And what we do is after this QE funding is approved, we then can draw down from that throughout the year. And it just works. It works for us. In a perfect world, we would kind of know where that money is being spent in ahead of time, but this works. So we'll keep it that way. And then we put, skipping over all of these other things. Oopsie. Come on, scroll. There we go. So we do the NAEYC fee partial reimbursement. So we do that $981, and that gets divided between the 4 centers. And then we put $400 into other program fees. Again, if we don't use that $400 for other program fees, that then goes as part of that NAEYC reimbursement. And for this particular year, we have not used that. So that full $1,381 will be divided between the 4 centers. That's for the past, for fiscal year 22. For fiscal year 23, I'm just going to leave it as such because it's easy and it's there and it's already broken down. And then the last area is that last $1,500 that we put into supplies. And that can be outdoor supplies, any supplies, and it can be PPE supplies for your centers. So very simple. Like I said, it's exactly how it's been written the last few years that we've been here. And in the great words of some philosopher out there, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But are there any questions on the QE? Because I know that sometimes this can be one of those things that's confusing because it's kind of, we vote on it and then it gets drawn down. But like I said, it works and centers use it. All right, perfect. So if nobody has questions and if nobody wants to propose any changes to that budget, we would then need to go back and vote on that. And in this case, Denise, the centers can all vote because it's not designated money to any specific center.
Okay, great. Is it the same thing where we're going to need someone to make a motion in a second?
Yep. So we would need someone to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 23 quality enhancement funding breakdown.
Great. Would someone make a motion? Great. Thank you, Lisa. Will someone second the motion? Thank you, Kimberly. So I'm just going to do the same thing going around. I vote in the affirmative. Can Katie vote on this one?
Nope.
No, staff.
Staff.
Okay. Anne? Yes. Deb? Yes. Tracy? Yes. Judy? Yes. Lisa? Yes. Kathleen? Yes. Miguel? Yes. Erin?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
The motion passes. Excellent.
Woohoo! So I know that was a lot. That was like a half hour of like craziness, but we're done. We're done. And that's, I mean, if you think about it, we meet all these times throughout a year for this moment is to approve this funding for the next fiscal year. So here we are. But it is exciting. And, you know, I think I've said it 8 times in this meeting so far, but I really appreciate all of you. And I really just, you know, your devotion to Mac and to the kids of this town. And we really have a really awesome and unique just group here, and we bring such great experiences. And I love when I get parents that call me and they ask me to talk about childcare, because I love explaining how we have these 4 awesome centers that are so different but are all so good. Like you can't go wrong at any of them that you pick, but they provide such a different experience. It's so cool. I love it. It makes me feel good when I get to do that with parents. It's awesome, and that's because of you guys.
Can I just add that it's such a great grant, and Sarah, you do such a great job overseeing it in this fair way. I know for CCC, it's so amazing to us to be able to extend to families that couldn't otherwise afford to come to our center. I mean, it means everything. It's a really great program.
Yeah, I actually had a mom today that was just, you know, looking at the fall and started crying. She's crying on the phone because she knew that it was going to be possible to send her kid to preschool. And she didn't think it was. So it really is. It's an awesome program that provides so much to these families.
Okay, our last item here is closing and upcoming agenda items.
So in closing, as I said at the beginning, I wanted to talk about our Pride celebration. It's just going to be really cool. So this was something that Katie and I kind of started steamrolling back in 2020, dare we say it out loud. And it never took off, which is kind of sad just because of the pandemic. So this year we started just back to kind of where we were before and planning a really great way to celebrate Pride in Mansfield and to bring a celebration to kind of this end of the state. There are some much bigger celebrations in the state, which with Middletown Pride, which is a big one. And if you ever get a chance to go, because it's really cool. And just lots of other ones. And we were just kind of putting our head together of how can we start something that celebrates this, really awesome part of our town. And again, kudos to our town. We have never, ever, ever received any pushback. Everyone's like, yes, let's do this. You want to fly a pride flag? Great. You want to buy pride flags? We'll hand them out at all of our businesses. It really, again, speaks to who we are as Mansfield, and I love it. I think it's amazing. So Mansfield Pride, Celebrate Pride is happening on June 10th. It's Friday. It's going to be happening down in Betsy Patterson Square. We are going to have lots of really cool things there. We are going to have pride flags to be handed out. We will also have our usual ones available for free at the library. We do them at the senior center. We have them out of our office. So we have little mini pride flags that you can get, but we'll also have some available that evening. The Yukon Dairy Bar will be there, and they are going to create some new fun flavors for the night. We are going to have a tie-dye your pride area where we're going to have like white t-shirts and people can tie-dye them and take them home and have a really unique thing to take home. We're going to have a drag queen story hour, and that's going to happen up on the main stage. And that will be before our our feature film, which is the movie Love, Simon. And again, it's, probably more for the teen audience, but it's one of those just like feel good and spread awareness and love and all of the good things that come with pride. I love pride, and I have so many rainbow clothes that I can't even wait, and I wear them every day the month of June. So to see this come to fruition, I'm like, yes. Katie, did I miss anything on our planning? We're going to have resource tables.
And we'll also have tons of selfie stations. Our crew at My Pride, which is our middle school LGBTQIA+ celebration group, as well as the E.O. Smith GSA, have been diligently and a lot of it messily, painting some giant human life-size wings. I think there's 10 or 11 of them that are all representative of the different pride flags within the LGBTQIA+ community that Sarah so eloquently and artfully drew, that they've been working on painting. So we're really excited for that. And there will also be free pronoun pins that the Mansfield Youth Pride group has designed, and they are in, and they're a sight to behold, but they're pretty cool.
I'm sure a lot of you already know that middle schoolers can be a little weird in their thinking. And when you ask them to design something themselves artistically, you get pure gold. These pronoun pins are amazing, and you should show up just for them.
We'll also be at Drag Queen Storytime having some books to give away as well. So we'll be getting some extra copies of some of the books that Mucha is going to be reading. Mucha is an amazing drag performer extraordinaire. They are very cool humans. So we're excited for them.
So yeah, once we get, Katie is working on a flyer. So once we get that, we'll get that to you guys so you can kind of put it up in your centers. We would love to see this just be a really good, awesome time around town. And that's really what it's meant for. I'm a fierce ally. I'm gonna be there. I'm ready. And for upcoming agenda items, as I mentioned earlier as well, Judy, I'll get you 1 second, that we have been approved by Governor Lamont to keep meeting online. So our June meeting can remain as a Zoom meeting. And then we take our lovely summer off. For our June meeting, it's going to be quick. It's going to kind of have to be quick. I have somewhere I need to be at 6 o'clock. So we're going to kind of start on, and I'm going to let you guys know that the grant was turned in and whatever else. And it will be a really quick one. And just to kind of send you guys off to summer. And yeah, I don't know, Judy, you're up, you're on the floor.
Okay. Just a question for Katie. Would you be able to get me the titles of the books that are being read at the story time, just so I can be sure the library has them also?
As soon as I finalize exactly what they are, yes, I can tell you at least one of them is The Hips on the Drag Queen Go Swish, Swish, Swish. That was a personal request from Mucha, so we're really excited. And I think another one that I just found that I'm ordering is by Desmond is Amazing, who is a youth drag performer who went viral a couple years ago. And they have written a really cool book that's on the history of Pride, which is really awesome. So I'm excited about that one. And we're still figuring out one last one that we haven't quite decided on yet.
Okay, just shoot me a quick email when you know. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And with that, my friends, go off and enjoy your Wednesday evening. And that should be a Friday, but it's not a Friday, it's a Wednesday. And thank you again to all of our amazing center directors for the work that you put in to those RFPs. And another thing, another kudos I have to throw out there, and I can't believe I didn't at the beginning, is how you guys get them to me in order, like with your checklist at the front, and then everything goes in the order of the checklist. When I showed that to the other town's liaison, she was like, how do you get them to do this? And I was like, they just do, it's magic. But really awesome job, because that is a lot of work. I mean, we're talking hundreds of pages, like 104, 110 pages, that all where it needs to be. So thank you for that. Makes my job so easy.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, good night, everybody. It's
Adjourned at
6:24.
6:24.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Tracy. I'm gonna stop recording.